Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and much appreciated you guys swinging by the channel to check out today's video. And guys, today I want to show you what is the easiest lure to get a bite on. If you are just want to go out and catch a bunch of fish and you don't know much about the lake, or you don't know much about bass fishing, or even if you do know a lot about bass fishing, I'm going to show you the bait that is going to give you the best odds of catching fish day in and day out, every day of the year, any water clarity condition, any situation, and some tips and advice on how to rig it. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, all you have to do is go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, shoot me a private message. I do my on-the-water lessons here in Table Rock and Stockton Lake in Missouri. Great way to learn about any technique you're weak at and you want to get better at. Shoot me a message there. And again, guys, thank you everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to the Fishing Teacher. Really appreciate that. Okay, and of course, the train is right on clue. As soon as I start this dang video, that dang train what is the odds of that? It's like I can sit here in the tackle room and mess around with stuff in here, and that train, I never hear that train. And as soon as I put that camera on, that train shows up. So I hope it's not too loud in there. Okay guys, when you're talking about the best lure to catch fish on, a lot of it has to do, again, with the mood and the personality of the fish, because bass are very, very susceptible to certain lures based upon a lot of different conditions in terms of the level of aggressiveness the fish have. And the level of aggressiveness that a fish has there's a lot of factors that play into it. It has to do with the fishing pressure on the lake, how much activities on the lake. It has to do with the weather patterns and the weather conditions, the time of day, the water clarity, water temperature. There's a ton of different stuff that really determine the level of activity of a bass, because you'll have one bass that is completely inactive. Say, for example, I'm gonna give you guys an example. One bass is completely inactive. You could put a live crawdad right next to that bass and they won't even touch it. And then you have another bass that is highly aggressive, but will go out of their way to just chase down anything they can to catch a fish, and as soon as a stick lands in the water, they hit it. And then you have moreover, you got bass sort of in between both of those. Now, the most inconsistent lures as far as to get a bite on are your reaction type lures and your baits that move horizontally through the water column. And your best lures to get a bite on, as far as day in and day out, are baits that are on the bottom, that don't take as much effort for the bass. And the number one bait, guys, that you can fish to get a bite on and to catch it, if you got to catch a bass to save your life, the number one is a shaky head rig, rigged in a certain way that I'm going to show you. Now, there's a lot of different shaky head setups, a lot of different type of shaky heads, a lot of different type of worms to put on it, but I'm going to show you the number one head and worm to get the most bites on. First of all, the head. Guys, this is the Gamakatsu tricky head. I've talked about it a lot, in the 1/16 of an ounce size. This is utmost critical. Guys, 1/16 of an ounce is the deal to get the bites on because of the fall rate. I'll link this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video if you guys want to get a pack of it. It's Gamakatsu tricky head. It's got a O'Shaughnessy bend here, which really hooks the fish good. It's got a nice tin keeper. It's got an inset eye on it. It's just it's the best shaky head on the market. I'll give you another tip about shaky heads, guys. Do not buy the shaky heads that have those little wire keeper, the little curly-cued wire things where you screw the worm on the little wire curly-cue thing. Those things are junk. If you have them, get rid of them and replace them with the straight shank with the keeper right here. You're gonna hook more fish on it. The bait looks more natural in the water. You get more bites. Every master shaky head fisherman I know, including the master of them all, Aaron Martin's my buddy, this is the type of head they use right here. So I'll link that in the description. And then you want to pair this 16th ounce with a 4-inch, this is 4.5 inch green pumpkin zoom finesse worm. And what you want to do with it before you rig it up, guys, is take some chartreuse marker here and put a little puff of chartreuse on the tail. Now, I don't care if the water visibility is super clear, that little puff of chartreuse that you see on the tail right there, that is like, I guess the fish, I don't know, they think it's a little stinger or something on there, but it'll make all the difference in the world. I don't care if I'm fishing water visibility that's 1.5 feet in clarity or 20 foot in clarity, I always put the little puff of chartreuse on the tail there. You're gonna get a lot more bites with it. 1/16 of an ounce head, 4.5 inch. And then when you're rigging a shaky head, another thing about it is you only want to come in like 1/8 of an inch, because you don't want to come in farther than 1/8, because you want that bait to set in between the gap there. So you put it like that, secure it in there lock, and then come through the bottom all the way to where the hook's pointing out like that. And then once that hook's pointing out, you want to make a channel there. So go back and forth on your worm like that to get that channel going good. This is going to give you a lot better hook sets with it. And then when you fish it, unless you're fishing a real snaggy area, you want to fish it with that hook point out. See how I got the hook points sticking out of there? This is the way you want to fish a shaky head, unless you're going to get hung up. If you're fishing like a point or even a rocky bank, you're not going to get, you'll very seldom get hung up if you rig it like this. But the amount of bass that you'll land with that hook point sticking out is by far a lot more. Now, if it's snaggy, all you have to do is back it off a little bit and just bury that hook point back in the plastic, and that makes it completely weedless. But also, it makes it a little bit more difficult to hook the fish. So that's the way you rig it there. Next thing with that, as far as the bite on it, is the line test. You want to use 6-pound test line if you can get away with it. Now, the combination of the 1/16 of an ounce head, the way the 1/16 of an ounce falls with the 6-pound test line, incredibly appealing to the fish. If you try to go to 8-pound test or 10-pound test, it falls different. 6-pound test is the way you want to go with it. This is going to, the whole point of this video, we're talking about the #1 lure to get a bite on, #1 lure to catch a bass on. It's all this stuff integrated together. It's the die on the tail. It's the 1/16 of an ounce head. It's how you have the hook point in there. It's the line size that you use. And then another thing that's going to go a long way is I have a lot of people ask me, how do I need to work a shaky head? You work a shaky head just like what the bait is called, shaky head. You're shaking it. So you cast it out there, let it hit the bottom. As soon as it hits the bottom, you just start shaking it. And you don't ever stop shaking it. And you're reeling it like that. You'll pull it a little bit like that, shake it a little bit more, reel it up and pull it. So you're not hopping it off the bottom. You're actually shaking it and you're pulling it. So the worm, when you're working this thing, it's always on the bottom. And it's just shaking like this along the bottom. And then when you pull it, it may go a little bit faster, and then you shake it and it stops down a little bit and you pull it a little bit faster. But once you pull it, say for example, you make your cast, you're shaking it and you're pulling it like that where you're shaking it, let it go back down and then just shake it in one spot. So try to get it to sort of vibrate in one spot. And all of that stuff together will add up to the lure that is easiest to catch fish on by far. It does. I've caught fish on this setup that I'm talking anywhere that I've went, everywhere from Florida out to Lake Mead, Nevada, all through the Ozarks, in the Great Lakes, tidal rivers, everywhere it works. It is the #1 lure to get a bite on. Now, sometimes I will change colors. Say, for example, if that water visibility is a little bit dirty, like say it's 12 to 15 inches in clarity, so sometimes I'll go to like a June bug or a solid black 4-inch finesse worm instead of the green pumpkin. But most of the time, it's the green pumpkin, guys. The green pumpkin is unbeatable in most conditions out there. It will get bites day in and day out. And if you want to catch one, if you want to get bit and you want to catch a bass, that's the bait to throw anywhere you go. It's the #1 bait to get bite on. So hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later.